So one of the things that you will want to be able to take care of your upper body and your shoulder is going to be a foam roller. So there are many different options of foam roller that you can get. Some of them are going to be like this one in that they are very soft and it is just a giant chunk of foam. That's all you need. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a foam roll. It just needs to be something that is going to be able to help you roll around on the muscles and on your back. So you can get something like this. Or we have some other options, which are things that have a harder PVC pipe on the inside and rubber on the outside, or foam. Some of them have knobs, some of them are smooth. It doesn't particularly matter. All you're gonna need is something like this that you can use to foam roll your upper back, and that's exactly where we're gonna start today. So, the first thing I want you to do is you're gonna take this foam roll and you're gonna put it across your upper back from shoulder blade to shoulder blade. So you're gonna lay flat on your back, and this is going to be here. So it's gonna be between your shoulder blades. So the position that you wanna be in here is not one where you're doing a crunch or a sit-up. You're gonna wanna let yourself relax up and back. So in order to do that, for most people, holding onto the sides of their neck or interlacing their fingers behind their head is a really great place to make sure that your neck doesn't have to take a ton of strain to be able to do this. So the easiest thing to do is to have your head and neck supported and let yourself look up towards the ceiling. For most people, this just means that their elbows aim up towards the ceiling. If you find your neck is fine with it, you can also put your arms across your chest like this. One of the reasons that we do this is to make sure that you're not rolling on top of your shoulder blades, but you're actually rolling on top of your upper back. And that's what we're going for. As you start to roll your upper back, don't be surprised if you start to get some clunking and some popping and that kind of crunchy sound out of your upper back. That's entirely normal. It's nothing that we've got to worry about. Once you're into this position, you're going to let your head and your neck relax back a little bit. You're going to have both your feet flat on the floor so that you can lift yourself up. So once you lift your hips up, most of your pressure is going to be supported on your feet and on your upper back. And from here, all you're going to do is you're going to roll a little bit straight up and down. I don't want you to go all the way into your lower back, and I don't want you to go all the way into your neck. If you go all the way above your shoulder blades into your neck, you're probably just going to slide off of it, and it's not going to feel very good. So I want you to try to just move up and down about 6 inches in each direction. Once you get used to this, I want you to try to bring your elbows together in front of you or cross your arms in front of you, which is going to take the pressure off of your shoulder blades and put it a little more into your upper back. So we're going to do something like this. So once you get used to that technique, you'll notice that you get some popping and you notice that you get a little bit of muscle discomfort in your upper back. That's entirely normal. It's something that we expect out of absolutely everyone that is doing this. As we go through the next 5 days, what you're gonna find is every time you do it, it gets a little bit easier. In most people, if they foam roll their upper back every day for about 10 days to 2 weeks, it should feel very good and very therapeutic. Some people, it feels that way on day 1. For other people, it takes a couple of weeks for it to feel really good. Either way, I'd encourage you to do it and do it repeatedly, as it's gonna take the joints in your upper back and the ribs in your upper back, make sure that they're moving nice and easily and they're very mobile to give us a better foundation for our shoulder blades. So what we're gonna start with today is we're gonna start with a 30-second rolling of our upper back. So once we get into position, lift our hips up in the air, we're gonna start for 30 seconds, just slowly rolling front to back. So you're gonna get between your shoulder blades, get your head and neck supported in whatever way is easiest for you. Some people can even just put their hands on top of their head. We're gonna support, we're gonna lift up, and we're gonna roll for 30 seconds. If you feel like going for longer than 30 seconds, you're welcome to do that. But 30 seconds is more than enough for the vast majority of people just to make sure that their upper back is nice and loose before we move on to the next set of exercises. To get some popping in your knees and joints and other things, it's entirely fine. Good. So when you're done, you drop your butt back to the ground. You can either roll off to the side to sit up, or you can sit straight up. That's it for the foam roll. So if at any point you feel like you're getting really tight throughout the day, I'd encourage you to have a foam roll at your house somewhere in an easily accessible place, because it's one of the easiest things that you can do to start to make your shoulders feel better rather quickly, is just to foam roll your upper back. So the second movement that we're going to do is going to be aimed at our neck. So our neck is really neurologically active and relates to how we move everything else in our upper body. So when our neck is doing what it should do, it helps everything else in our upper body behave how it should behave as well. So a lot of the time we spend time with our head really far forward, which puts stress on certain parts of our neck. So we're just going to practice bringing it backwards a little bit and getting it more stacked on top of our shoulders. So what we call this is a retraction. Just if you picture almost like a turtle that has stuck their head out of their shell, we're going to practice the exact opposite. We're going to pull it back a little bit. So what this looks like for a lot of people is almost like they're trying to give themselves a double chin. Not by tucking their chin straight down, but by bringing their nose straight back. So if you watch how this looks from the side, it's going to be as if you had something right here and you're trying to pull your face away from that. So what we're going to do is we are going to do 10, sometimes up to 15 repetitions of just taking our nose and pulling it straight back and away. What we might feel sometimes is going to be a little bit of a stretch or a little bit of a compression. Some people will feel a stretch at the base of their skull. Some people might feel a compression at the base of their neck. Both of those are entirely fine. As long as this doesn't change anything and give you more pain in either your shoulders or your arms, it's entirely fine. So we're just going to start by standing up tall, making sure that we try to keep everything through our midsection still, and we're going to bring our nose straight back for 12 repetitions. So you should feel like you're giving yourself a little bit of a double chin. So we're halfway. We're at 9 repetitions there. That is 10. So if you feel like this is a very hard movement for you to do, there's a good chance that means you need to do more of it. But one of the little tips and tricks that we can use to get that movement is to actually take the web between our thumb and our first finger, and we can put it essentially on our teeth with our lip over top of it. So between our nose and the top of our lip, this little spot right here, you can actually use your own hand to shove straight back and to give yourself guidance. So you can do something like this. You can take your hand, put it right below your nose, and you can push straight back that way. You don't need to push very hard, but it will give you the ability to kind of feel that movement where you're pushing straight back like that. If your shoulder hurts because you're trying to lift and push, just don't do it. Try to use your own muscle. But I'd encourage you, if you felt very little or if you felt like it was difficult to do, to get your hand here and start shoving yourself back a little further. The next movement that I want us to try for our neck is going to be lateral flexion, which just means we're trying to bring our ear down towards our shoulder. So the way that we want to do this is with as little rotation as possible. Generally speaking, a lot of the time when I get people to do this with no instruction, they tend to do this, where they rotate their chin away. So what I want you to try to do is to keep your nose straight in front of you, and you're going to bring your ear down to your shoulder. What you should end up feeling is a stretch on this side over here. So what I want you to try is to bring your head up tall, bring your head back a tiny little bit, so you're in a proud, tall position, then you're going to bring your ear down to your shoulder. If you're not getting to the point that you're feeling a stretch on this side, it would be a good idea for you to give yourself a little bit of assistance with the same side hand. So you're not going to pull very hard, you're just going to use fingertip pressure, and you're going to pull a little bit just above your ear. So we're going to do 10 slow and easy repetitions of this to one side, and then we're going to do 10 slow and easy repetitions of this to the other side. As you go, try to make sure you're checking your posture so that you're not coming down and forward, but that you're staying tall, and it's really just that you're opening up here and you're bringing your ear down here. We're going to do 10 reps starting now. So don't push it too hard on this. This is meant to be quite gentle. There's 5. There's 8. And So, you've probably got quite a bit of stretching on this side. Now we're going to change over to the other side. I'd encourage you to do this very gently because we're going to do some version of this every single day. You don't need to get a lot of stretching in any one session because every session we're going to do a little bit and it will accumulate over 5 days into a lot of movement by the time we're done. So after we've done one side, we're going to do 10 repetitions to the other side. I want to make sure again that you are trying to make sure that you're entirely upright, that you're staying tall, your nose stays forward, and it's just your ear that is falling down towards one shoulder. And again, I'd encourage you to start gentle, and if this feels fine, then maybe go a little harder on the ensuing days. So we're going to do 10 reps. Good. So hopefully you would have got a little bit of stretch on the opposite side to the direction that you were going. If during either of these you get an aggressive pinching sensation on the side that you are dropping your ear, and that gets worse as you go, I want you to make sure that you stop. If you get a little bit of a pinching sensation and it starts to feel a little bit better as you go, that's entirely fine. I just don't want you to make it worse by going into the pain over and over again if it gets worse as you go. So the next exercise that we're going to do is for our shoulder blades. It's very important for our shoulder blades to move properly, not just be in one specific position all the time. Where our shoulder blades move and don't move is going to be one of the big predictors of exactly how our shoulders feel. And one of the main movements we want to make sure that we have access to in our shoulders is retraction, which again just means pulling backwards. We don't need them to be there all the time, but when they do pull backwards, one of the things that happens is it creates a little more space inside our shoulder joints. So if a reduction in space in your shoulder joint happens to be an issue for you, this is one of the things that can help. So the movement that I want to get out of your shoulder blades today is I want you to be able to bring them a little bit closer to each other across your spine. So from the back, if your shoulder blades were out to the side, it would look like this, and when they're all the way back, it will look like that. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use our arms to guide where our shoulder blades go because we don't have a great feeling in our shoulder blades a lot of the time, meaning we don't get a lot of sensation out of them. We can't really tell where they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend both of our elbows, put our palms straight up in front of us and our thumbs out to the side. And then what we're going to do is act like we're trying to touch our elbows behind our back. Unless you're extremely flexible, you're not actually going to have them anywhere near touching behind your back. All you're going to do is try to take your elbows in a circle back behind you, which is going to aim your thumbs behind you, and we are going to do 10 repetitions of that. As you do this, it's important that you don't shove your head forward, and it's important that you don't lift your ribs up. Try to keep everything else relatively neutral. It doesn't need to be stiff, it just needs to be neutral. So start with elbows at your side, palms up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to spread your thumbs apart and bring your elbows together behind you. So I want you to do this primarily from your upper back instead of from your arms and shoulders. That's over halfway. Get 2 more. There's number 9. And there's number 10. So remember, this is for your shoulder blades. So that exercise should make you feel like your upper back and your shoulder blades are doing a little bit of work. If you are doing it this way, where you're keeping your shoulder blades still and just twisting your arm out, it might cause a little bit of discomfort in your shoulder. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a difference between just twisting your arm out to the side and pinching your shoulder blades back together. So try your best in this exercise to actually bring your shoulder blades together as you do it, and simply just guiding it with where your arms go. So the last thing that we're going to work on for today is a couple of exercises and movements specifically for the shoulder itself. So these are the ones that if your shoulder is actually sore, it might be a little bit tender for you. So as you go through this, I want you to make sure that it feels a little bit better as you go, not worse as you go. If it feels worse, try to come back to it later or try it again after you've taken some time off. But for now, we don't want these to feel worse as we go. We want to get a little bit better. So the first one is going to be a cross body stretch. So what we're aiming to do is to try to get a little bit of a stretch across the back of our shoulder girdle in here. So I want you to put your palm up in front of you. If it hurts to bring it all the way up here, just do it down in front of you like this. And I want you to take the inside of this elbow and try to bring it towards your opposite shoulder. So you can bring it up and across this way. The easier way is usually to use elbow on elbow and pull the whole way up and across. You might be flexible enough to do this, that's great. Some people are going to require a different rotation, meaning their palm will be down or their palm will be up. If you have palm down or up and it makes it feel like you get more of a stretch with less discomfort, that's what I want you to do. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to do 10 slow and easy little pumps. You don't have to come all the way out of it. You're just going to do something like this. You're going to pull in and hold for a second and relax. And then pull in and hold for a second and relax. So we're going to do 10 of those per side. What you should find is that most of the strain and most of the stretch is on the back or outside of the shoulder. If you're getting a large amount of pinching in the front of your shoulder instead, try to shake it out, alter it a little bit, just change some of the angles to see if you can get a stretch without the pinch. A little bit of pinch is not a problem, but if you get nothing but a pinch with no stretch, it defeats the purpose of this exercise. So we're going to start with the left arm up in front of us, and we're going to do 10 little pumps. And if you need to, you can put your hand right on your shoulder. It might make the whole thing feel better. Or you can just pull directly on your elbow. Got 8 reps. And there's 9. And there's 10. Good. So you may have gotten a little bit sore from this. I just want you to shake that arm out because we're about to use it to stretch out the other side. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring our arm up and across, and we're going to pull elbow to shoulder. We're going to do 10 repetitions on that side. One of the things you can do, if you find this a little bit uncomfortable, is you can bring your shoulder down a little bit, or you can bring it up a little bit. That will change a little bit of the mechanics of how your shoulder operates, which might be the thing that you need for it to feel a little bit better on you. There's 8, and 9, and 10. And again, when you're done, I just want you to shake it out a little bit and make sure everything's nice and loose. The last thing that we are going to do on day 1 is going to be the thing that is potentially the hardest position to get into. So if you can't get into this position, that's entirely fine. Don't feel the need to do this. What I'd encourage you to do is pick one of the other movements that we've already done today that's felt good for you and do a little bit more of that. So this one is going to be a little bit of an overhead stretch. And this is meant to stretch the inside and back of our upper arm, our tricep area, as well as a little bit into our rotator cuff and our lats down here. So what we're going to do is we are going to bend our hand as if we're trying to reach down to the base of our neck, and we're going to take the other hand and try to pull straight up and back. So this position here is a position that can be a little bit stressful. If your head comes forward on this one, that's entirely fine. Everybody has to have their head forward until they have extremely good flexibility on this. So this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to hold, and we're going to do it for about 10 seconds to start with. As we progress through our 5 days and as we do some harder shoulder courses, then we can start to get a little bit longer. But for now, all we're going to do is hold for about a 10-second count, okay? So you put one arm overhead, bend it down behind you, take the other hand, put it on that elbow, and pull backwards behind your head. It's important that you keep breathing as you do this, as a lot of people will start to hold their breath. Good, and that's about 10 seconds, so same thing. I want you to stretch it out a little bit, just shake it, make sure everything's nice and loose. And we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. We're gonna put one hand up and behind our head, try to pull that elbow back a little bit more. Good. So, if you find either of those movements a little bit too hard, or you find that you can't bring your hands close enough together to get that stretch done, but it feels good for you, I'd encourage you to use a wall. You can actually take an elbow here and you could put it on a wall or put it in a corner and lean into it to hopefully help push your arm back a little bit. This is one of the movements that we've done today that is probably the highest stress and most likely to cause discomfort for most people. So if you're one of those people and you feel like this isn't the movement for you, I'd encourage you just to skip it and move on to the next day, next time, or replace it with one of the other movements that we've had today. I look forward to seeing you on day number 2.